Rose, the keys. Just get the keys.
I don't know where they are.
Rose?
Sink into the floor.
Wait.
Sink.
Get Out unfolds as a gripping psychological horror story that explores fear, identity, and the unsettling tension that can exist beneath seemingly polite social interactions. The film centers on a young photographer named Chris Washington, a thoughtful and observant man who often processes the world through quiet reflection rather than confrontation. Chris lives in a modern urban environment where his daily life appears stable and comfortable. Yet, like many people navigating complex social dynamics, he remains aware of the subtle ways society can treat individuals differently. When his girlfriend Rose invites him to spend the weekend with her family at their secluded countryside estate, Chris initially approaches the idea with curiosity mixed with a small but persistent sense of concern. The invitation appears harmless on the surface. Rose reassures Chris that her parents are open-minded people who will welcome him warmly. However, Chris cannot fully ignore the underlying anxiety he feels about meeting them for the first time. He wonders whether Rose has mentioned that he is black and whether the visit might create uncomfortable situations. Rose dismisses these concerns with confidence, explaining that her family would never judge someone based on race and that the weekend will simply be an opportunity for them to get to know each other better. Trusting her and wanting to strengthen their relationship, Chris agrees to the trip. The journey to the countryside marks the first shift in the film's atmosphere. As they drive away from the busy city and into quiet rural landscapes, the environment becomes increasingly isolated. Tall trees line empty roads, and the distance from the outside world creates a sense that Chris is entering unfamiliar territory. During the drive, an unexpected incident occurs when their car strikes a deer crossing the road. The moment is brief yet unsettling, leaving Chris shaken by the injured animal lying helplessly on the roadside. When a police officer arrives to investigate the accident, Chris notices a strange interaction between the officer and Rose that leaves him slightly confused, though he cannot yet explain why. When the couple finally arrives at the family estate, Chris is greeted by Rose's parents, who appear friendly and eager to make him feel comfortable. Her father, a confident and talkative man, expresses enthusiastic approval of Chris while emphasizing how progressive and welcoming he considers himself to be. Her mother, who works as a therapist, offers a calm and polite demeanor that initially puts Chris at ease. The house itself is large and elegant, surrounded by vast woods that give the property a feeling of both beauty and isolation. Despite the warm welcome, Chris quickly notices small details that feel slightly out of place. The family employs 2 household workers who behave in an unusual and almost mechanical manner. Their speech patterns are overly formal, their expressions rarely change, and their movements seem strangely controlled. At first, Chris assumes they may simply be reserved individuals who take their jobs very seriously. Yet the subtle oddness of their behavior lingers in the back of his mind. As the evening continues, Rose's mother offers to help Chris with the insomnia he sometimes experiences. She suggests a therapeutic conversation designed to relax his mind and help him sleep more peacefully. During this quiet discussion, her calm voice and steady questioning begin guiding Chris into a deeply hypnotic state. The conversation shifts from simple relaxation techniques to something far more disturbing when Chris suddenly finds himself unable to move or speak. His body feels frozen while his consciousness seems to drift into a dark and distant space where he can see the world but cannot control his actions. This moment becomes one of the most important psychological turning points in the story. Chris experiences what feels like falling endlessly into a void, watching events unfold without the ability to influence them. The terrifying sensation leaves him shaken when he awakens the next morning, unsure whether what happened was simply a nightmare or something far more real. The following day brings the arrival of numerous guests attending a gathering hosted by Rose's family. At first, the event appears to be nothing more than a friendly social gathering among wealthy acquaintances. Yet as Chris interacts with the visitors, he begins to notice something deeply unsettling in the way many of them behave. Their conversations often focus on his physical attributes, his style, or his perceived abilities in ways that feel strangely impersonal. Instead of engaging with him as an individual, several guests treat him almost like an object of fascination. These interactions create a growing sense of discomfort. Chris tries to remain polite and respectful, but he cannot ignore the feeling that something about the gathering is profoundly wrong. His suspicion intensifies when he encounters another black guest whose behavior mirrors the same strange detachment he noticed in the household workers. The man speaks with a forced calmness and seems disconnected from his own emotions, reinforcing the unsettling pattern Chris has been observing. The tension reaches a disturbing peak when Chris attempts to photograph this guest with his phone camera. The camera flash triggers an unexpected reaction that briefly shatters the man's composed demeanor. For a split second, his expression changes from calm politeness to raw panic, and he urgently tells Chris to leave the place immediately. The sudden shift shocks everyone nearby, and the situation is quickly dismissed as a minor disturbance. Yet for Chris, the warning feels too serious to ignore. Confused and increasingly anxious, Chris tries to contact his closest friend back in the city to explain what he has been experiencing. Through their conversations, Chris begins piecing together the strange clues surrounding the house and its inhabitants. His friend listens carefully, offering both humor and concern while encouraging Chris to trust his instincts about the unusual behavior he has been witnessing. As the weekend continues, the truth behind the mysterious environment begins revealing itself piece by piece. Chris discovers that the family's interest in him and others like him is connected to a secret operation hidden beneath the polite surface of their lives. The strange hypnotic experience he endured was not merely a therapy session, but part of a carefully planned process designed to strip individuals of their autonomy. The horrifying reality slowly becomes clear. The family and their associates have been orchestrating a method of transferring consciousness from one body to another, allowing wealthy individuals to inhabit younger and physically stronger bodies. Chris realizes that the peculiar behavior of the workers and guests he encountered earlier was the result of this disturbing procedure. Their bodies remain alive, but their original identities have been pushed into the same silent void Chris briefly experienced during hypnosis. Faced with the terrifying knowledge that he is the next intended subject of this process, Chris must find a way to escape before it is too late. The quiet countryside that once appeared peaceful now becomes a prison surrounded by people determined to carry out their plan. Every room in the house and every path through the woods feels like part of a carefully controlled environment, designed to prevent anyone from leaving. Chris's struggle for survival becomes both physical and psychological. He must overcome the lingering effects of the hypnotic control placed on him while also navigating the dangers of confronting those responsible for the operation. The calm politeness that once masked the family's intentions now disappears, revealing the cold determination behind their actions. The story builds toward an intense confrontation where Chris refuses to surrender his identity and freedom. His determination to fight back transforms him from a quiet observer into someone willing to challenge the terrifying system designed to erase him. Each step toward escape becomes a test of courage as he faces obstacles that seem impossible to overcome. The film's climax delivers a powerful mixture of suspense, horror, and emotional release. Chris must rely on his intelligence, instincts, and sheer willpower to survive the ordeal and reclaim control over his own life. The quiet estate that once appeared welcoming is finally exposed as a place built on deception and exploitation. By the time the story reaches its conclusion, Get Out has evolved into more than just a horror narrative. It becomes a thought-provoking exploration of identity, power, and the hidden tensions that can exist beneath everyday interactions. The film uses suspense and psychological terror to highlight the importance of awareness, self-preservation, and the courage to trust one's instincts when something feels wrong. Through its unsettling atmosphere and carefully constructed mystery, Get Out leaves audiences reflecting on the deeper meanings behind its story. The film reminds viewers that danger does not always reveal itself through obvious threats. Sometimes it hides behind friendly smiles, polite conversations, and environments that appear safe on the surface. The journey Chris experiences ultimately becomes a powerful statement about reclaiming one's voice and identity in the face of forces determined to silence them. His fight for freedom transforms the story into a compelling blend of psychological drama and social commentary, leaving a lasting impact that continues to resonate long after the final moments of the film fade away.